Hello, brothers and sisters. This is Brent Spalding, and I'm recording a special presentation for the Brother Norton, Doug Norton's teaching group. And I wanted to spend just a few minutes. I've got this divided into two parts. The first part is going to be giving some introductory information, and then I'll be talking about my Economics 151 class, the procedures I go through for that. And then on the second part, I get into a discussion about my Ag Business 180A course, and I separated them out simply because of time, the amount of time it takes to go through it. So anyway, with this in mind, I wanted to start off here with my Econ 151. I have one section out of 4 this semester that are being taught, and mine is section 2, as you can see. I generally, to start off with, I will set up a number of things to start with, and I've done it here now to help to expedite things. I've set up a new announcement, and this announcement, I'll have some statement set up something like this, where I basically will be presenting the link for the meeting to for the class, and I will have it on something like this. And so I would just simply, I'm kind of going at this backwards, but I would just simply click on that and highlight that, and then go ahead and put in the user URL for it. And so I want to, if time permits, I'll come back to this. But anyway, I wanted to point that out, that I have that available, so that students can then come to the announcement and can click on that and view the recording. Now I'm going to go ahead and move forward in my discussion. It kind of gets started with the economics class. Basically, what I do with this class, rarely does anyone show up. I do have occasionally, just before an exam, I'll have 2 or 3 people that will show up with questions. So it just depends, but it's not very often that they do show up. But anyway, I wanted to get started here and point out how I use the office hours meeting in my teaching of the econ class. Okay, so I'm going to drop my own video here and go ahead and demonstrate this for you. Typically, what I do in this class, let me go back to this one first. The content for this course is really quite complicated, but it's these courses are prepared by the econ department, and so they are fairly complicated. They interact here with a publishing company that publishes our textbook, and they have a learning management system that overlaps with the iLearn 3. And so we have materials that are being pulled out of the learning management system from the publishing company, and that's what these items are that you see here. Now, to start off with, in my office hours meeting, I would go here to what's called the individual preparation meeting or page, and here it gives the students the chapter and link to that chapter, so that they can get at it online if they need to, or they can have a copy of the book itself. And then there's also a PowerPoint that's presented with it. Now, the part I want to spend some time with here is going to be this group question. And this basically, this chapter 20 group quiz questions are provided here, and the students are able then to pull these up and study them individually, and then they get together in a group and talk about them, work them over, and then we'll go ahead and publish them. And this is the way that in this particular class that you get at the idea of teach one another that particular principle that we follow here at BYUI. Now, this I've already downloaded this, so this particular material is contained right here. This is a copy of the quiz, chapter 12. I'm not going to take time to go ahead and copy these over, but typically what I would do then is I would be preparing a PowerPoint video, and this would basically be what it would look like. I've got it set up already with the heading on it, and then I would simply go ahead and copy the questions into the video. Now or into the PowerPoint. Now I'm going to go right directly to one that I've already done for the sake of time, and so this one is the one for lesson 10, and so I have these questions already set up, and the students would just simply pull them up and go over them with the students after they have completed the quiz. And so this would be more of a review for them, and they'd have the opportunity then to ask me to cover certain questions, and sometimes I get questions like that, requests like that, other times I don't. And but anyway, I would go over these, and I'd have these all of the questions already pasted in to the PowerPoint, and in situations like this where they're all multiple choice, if there's not a problem involved, I will put 2 questions on each slide, and then I go ahead and move all the way down. Now I wanted to go to this particular slide to show you how I do this when I have a problem. The problem, I'd set it up like this, and then I would have this set up so that I would use animation and go through it. So let me bring this up, and so I'd read the question. A bank has $8,000 in deposits, $6,000 in loans. It has loaned out all it can given the reserve requirement, and it follows out the reserve requirement is. And so the students have the responsibility then of calculating and determining what that reserve requirement is. So when I'm reviewing this after the fact, then I go ahead and I will, by using the features in PowerPoint, will bring these up and animate these so that I can bring it up a step at a time. So I have reserves going to be equal to deposits minus loans made, and I go ahead and put the numbers in here from up top. They have the bank has $8,000 deposit. They have $6,000 outstanding in loans, and so 8,000 minus 6,000 is going to be equal to the amount of the reserves. Now that's the first part. Then I would simply say, okay, that gives them then the 2,000, and so they take 2,000 and they would divide that by 8,000, and I let that step out in this problem, but it would come up then with C, 25%, and so I should have one more step in there. But anyway, that's the way I use that. And then here's another problem. If the reserve ratio is 5%, then $500 of additional reserves can create up to how much new money? Okay, so the reserves divided by the reserve ratio is going to be equal to the new money. So I plug in the values. The amount of here is going to be, okay, so we're going to basically going to go ahead and create this by taking $2,000 and dividing by 5% equals 10,000. And so that's going to be option B, is going to be the answer to that problem. And so that's basically the way I go through this step at a time, and basically help the students to see how this works. And I think this particular lesson has a number of problems in it, and so I will go through and talk about each of those problems. Okay, now I want to take just a minute here and point out to you how I would pull this into the discussion in the Adobe Connect. And so let me pull up Adobe Connect, and I would have already set this up with a meeting set up, identify the meeting recording, and click on OK here, and this is going to bring up the recording. I typically would pause the recording at this point, and basically then I would set this up and share. So I'm sharing the screen, and then I need to do something else here. I'm not only sharing the screen, but I've got my mic turned on, I've got my camera turned on, and as you can see, I'm over here. So now I would, once I get all of this set up, then I would go ahead and pull up the PowerPoint that I was going through with you. I'd pull this PowerPoint up and go over these questions and problems with them in the PowerPoint. And while I was doing this, if they have questions, basically I would allow them to raise their hand, or if they wish, they could turn on their mic. Since there's rarely very many of them there, they can turn on their mic and just speak out and let me know what their question is. And so they could do it that way, or if they wish, they could simply type in their question down here at the bottom. And that's basically the way I would use and prepare my Adobe Connect PowerPoint presentation, or excuse me, my Adobe Connect presentation for them. And I would incorporate into it then the PowerPoint presentation. I do the PowerPoint with both classes, and the econ class. I do use that quiz, the group quiz, as the primary thing to discuss with them. And I'll have a question come in from a student via email that I will also address during that meeting, and so that happens from time to time as well. Now, once I get this all taken care of, and I get my information for my meeting captured, my URL, and so on and so forth, then basically I would go back to the beginning here, and I would go ahead and put the URL into my announcement. And this announcement, I've already started it here, and so I would go ahead and put this in the URL, and I put the URL in here and go ahead and have that ready for them when they pick up the video. Now, this is basically all that I am going to be saying about the econ part of it. In the other video that I'm working on, this would be part 2. I have the information about the Ag Business class. And so I will close this one at this time, and you can view this if you have time or interested. You can go ahead and open up the one for the Ag Business class, which would be part 2.